I married an older man, Jeff, 5 years ago. At first, he really cherished me. But as time passed, he started to treat me coldly. His daughter, Paige, whom I adored like my own, eventually started mocking me, just like her dad. Despite this, I kept enduring it, thinking we're family.
You've gotten fat like a pig. I wish I had a cuter wife.
Seriously, it's so embarrassing when you show up at school. Don't come to parent-teacher conferences, okay?
That was the last straw for me. My name is Rita. I'm a 32-year-old office worker. 5 years ago, I married Jeff, who is 5 years older. We met through a dating app. He was a man full of charisma, and I quickly fell for his charm. After dating for a year, he proposed and we got married. But when I told my parents, they were hesitant. They were concerned about him being 5 years older and his daughter, Paige. He was divorced, with his previous marriage ending due to his wife's infidelity. He took custody of their 5-year-old daughter, Paige. I had met her a few times. She was a shy but adorable child. I convinced my worried parents that I could make it work with a man who had a child. I truly loved Jeff and wanted to be Paige's mother. My persistence paid off, and my parents eventually gave their blessing. I wish I could say these past 5 years of marriage have been blissful, but they haven't. The first year or so was okay. Back then, Jeff was kind, and Paige was affectionate towards me. But things started to go downhill. He began to ridicule me, and she started to mimic his behavior. She began to adopt his arrogant attitude towards me. I knew spoiling her wasn't good for her, but he wouldn't let me discipline her. Whenever I scolded her for misbehaving or urged her to study, he would complain. Even if I argued back, he would twist my words and shut down my arguments. Eventually, I got tired of their comments and stopped trying to discipline her. One day, Jeff yelled at me when he saw what I had made for dinner.
Hey, there are vegetables in this again. I've told you I hate vegetables. How many times do I have to tell you?
Oh, come on. They're good for you. I've chopped them up finely and mixed them in, so eat a little.
I never asked you to do that. Just listen to what I say. Now go make a meat dish already.
He was extremely picky and refused to eat any vegetables. He also didn't like fish much and demanded that I cook meat dishes. Meanwhile, Paige had completely opposite demands.
Mom, didn't I tell you I don't eat meat? Why can't you remember? A fish meunière? That's definitely high in calories. Are you trying to sabotage my diet?
I'm not trying to upset you, but you've gotten really thin lately. You'll get sick if you keep this up. It would be good for you to eat some meat.
Stop it! I'm on a diet, so being thin is fine. Don't do anything to stop me. I'm only eating vegetables.
Paige, unlike her father, hated meat and would only eat vegetables. She refused to eat fish dishes like meunière or fried ones, claiming they were bad for her diet. She was obsessed with becoming thinner, wanting to be a model. It was almost like she was bordering on an eating disorder, and she insisted that I cook low-calorie, diet-friendly meals for her. The difference in their demands made meal planning a constant struggle for me. I ended up preparing about 10 dishes centered around meat and vegetables each. It was a huge burden, both in terms of effort and cleaning up. Despite my struggles, they would both complain about the dishes being too tough or too fattening. It wasn't just cooking that was tough. They expected me to do all the housework, washing dishes, laundry, and cleaning. After meals, Jeff would lounge on the living room sofa watching TV. Paige would be next to him, engrossed in her mobile games. Paige, please take your dishes to the kitchen. And could you at least fold your laundry? I tried to get her to help with the housework, but he always stopped me. She would complain, playing right into his hands.
Ugh, that's so annoying. Dad, Mom's being mean to me.
He naturally supported her.
You're just trying to boss Paige around because she's not your real daughter. Take better care of our daughter. You don't need to do the housework, Paige. That's Rita's job.
Thanks, Dad. Mom really is terrible, isn't she? She can't even make a satisfying meal. At least she could do the housework right.
As they gossiped about me, all I could do was sigh. He prevented her from doing housework, but he didn't help either. He insisted,
Housework is a woman's job.
leaving it all to me. Even though we both worked, I had to shoulder all the household chores. And because they were so picky, they often left food untouched. It felt wasteful, so I ended up eating the leftovers and gradually gained weight. Then both Jeff and Paige started hurling insults at me.
Aren't you eating too much? You've been gaining weight lately. How about dieting a bit? Paige is slim and cute. Aren't you embarrassed?
Yeah, eating our leftovers is so gross. I don't need a fat mom. Don't walk next to me when we're outside.
Who do they think is to blame for my weight gain? Dealing with their insults while juggling work and housework was stressful. I found myself stress eating, and then they'd mock me, making me eat even more. I was stuck in this vicious cycle. One day, when I looked in the mirror, I saw a chubby woman with rough skin. Realizing that woman was me was a huge shock. I'm only 32, but I looked almost like I was in my 40s. Before I got married, I used to care about fashion and makeup, but as life got harder, I lost that luxury. I wanted to escape this life, but I couldn't bring myself to consider divorce. To make matters worse, Jeff got laid off from his job. It seemed to be due to the recession. He was supposedly looking for another job, but nothing seemed to come up. He could have done some part-time work, but he refused, saying he didn't want to work in a low-level job. When he wasn't job hunting, he just made a mess at home all day. I'm fed up when I come home tired from work and see trash scattered on the table and floor. Even when I confronted Jeff about it, he showed no remorse. Hey, since you're home, can you at least throw the trash in the bin?
What? You should just pick it up and clean it up yourself. I've worked hard for this family until now. Just taking a break until I find my next job.
I was furious at his attitude, as if he was the only one who had worked for the family. Paige, too, sided with her lounging dad.
That's right, Mom. Dad has been working hard to the point of exhaustion. Stop saying mean things.
But Paige, I'm also tired from work, you know. I have to do the housework, too.
But it's a mom's job to take care of the house, right? And don't be so selfish over such a small thing.
With her support, Jeff became even more arrogant without even working. I was truly fed up every day. One day, I became so exhausted that I fell ill with a fever. Even then, Jeff demanded that I do housework.
Where's dinner? Stop lying around and get to it. Housework is your job.
I'm sick with a fever and feeling awful. Sorry, but you'll have to manage on your own for a while.
Such a useless wife.
Even when I was clearly unwell, he had no words of care. Instead, he complained about not getting housework done. Then, he took Paige out to eat, leaving me struggling to prepare my own meal. After lying in bed for 2 days, I finally got better, only to find the house in a terrible state. Pizza boxes and bottles were scattered on the floor. Laundry was piled up. It was a mess, as expected, with no one to clean up. On the table, there was a note in a commanding tone, probably from Jeff saying,
"Clean all of this up."
Next to it was another note, in Paige's handwriting.
You didn't cook, so I gained weight. Worst mom ever.
I felt I couldn't take it anymore. The next day, as I was cleaning up, Jeff and Paige were lounging in the living room as usual. I continued cleaning, despite being fed up with their mocking conversation.
You really look like a fat pig now. When we got married, you were much cuter. I feel cheated having a wife like a pig. I wish you'd pay me alimony.
That's right. All the moms of my classmates are pretty and stylish. But our mom is so unfashionable and fat.
Sorry, Paige. If I had married a younger and prettier wife, you could have bragged to your friends.
It's not Dad's fault. It's because of our fat mom. It's embarrassing when you come to school, Mom. Don't ever come to parent-teacher conferences, okay?
Their words were the last straw for me. I slammed the dish I was washing into the sink, making a loud noise. They stared at me in surprise. I looked at them, smiled, and said, I understand how you feel. If you don't like me that much, I'll stop being your mom. They seemed confused by my words, murmuring, Huh? I left them behind and walked out of the house. After that, I relied on friends and acquaintances, moving from place to place. I had previously confided in them about Jeff and Paige. Because of this, when I asked to stay, they all sympathized and gladly let me stay. I was deeply grateful to my kind friends. I stayed with friends and continued to go to work, but I didn't return to the house where my husband and daughter were. Feeling bad for always staying over, I bought groceries with my own money and cooked meals for them. My friends enjoyed every dish, saying, delicious. The difference from Jeff and Paige, who always complained, was night and day. 2 days after I left home, I received emails from Jeff and Paige.
Hey, how long are you going to sulk? Running away from home just because you got a little scolded? You're not a kid. Stop this nonsense and come back home to do your housework.
Mom, why are you throwing a tantrum just because you heard the truth? Stop being annoying for attention and come back and cook. They complained about me in emails, conveniently ignoring their own faults. It was clear they didn't think they did anything wrong. I didn't respond to the emails and just left them be. I had already explained the situation to my parents to some extent. They were angry I hadn't consulted them earlier, but were also very worried. When they told me I could come back home anytime, I couldn't help but cry. I had convinced them quite forcefully to accept my marriage to Jeff with his daughter Paige, so I thought they might say,
You made your bed, now lie in it.
But they welcomed me with open arms, which was a huge relief. A week passed as I stayed with various friends. By then, Jeff and Paige's emails became more humble, with messages like,
I was wrong,
and sorry, Mom. But I doubted they were truly remorseful. I decided it was time to end things with them. When I returned home, after a week, the house was in a mess, with garbage scattered everywhere. Seeing me, Jeff and Paige immediately started complaining.
Where have you been? The house is a disaster because of you. Clean it up now.
Mom, you're finally back. Make dinner now. I'm sick of delivery food.
Their words confirmed they hadn't learned their lesson. I was ready to make my decision. Ignoring their continued complaints, I presented them with a signed divorce agreement. Their eyes widened as I continued. You're unhappy with a fat, unattractive mom like me, right? Then, let's get a divorce. I'm sick of taking care of both of you. They panicked, with Jeff yelling.
What about the living expenses?
And Paige screaming.
Who's going to do the housework and cooking?
Jeff, you just need to start working quickly, and both of you can do the housework. Not my concern anymore.
Don't say such nonsense. I won't divorce, especially after you ran away from home.
That's when I pulled out a recording of Jeff and Paige hurling insults at me. I had been gathering evidence, anticipating a divorce. If you won't agree to divorce, I'll sue. You're unemployed and have no money. Can you even afford to pay alimony? He turned pale and reluctantly signed the divorce agreement. Afterward, I received $14,000 in compensation for mental anguish and another $14,000 for half of our shared assets in the divorce. Paige stayed with Jeff, of course. Later, I rented a stylish apartment for singles and started a comfortable life alone. Miraculously, as I ate balanced meals and lived hygienically, my weight dropped significantly. In 6 months, I lost about 20 pounds, and everything I wore looked great on me. I returned to enjoying fashion and makeup, and in my 30s, I entered a phase where I was more popular than ever. A few months after the divorce, I ran into Jeff and Paige at a shopping mall. He had become fat and filthy, and she was extremely thin and unkempt, probably from eating whatever they liked without considering nutrition. When they recognized me, transformed and beautiful, they said,
"You look so different and pretty."
And,
"Be my mom again."
of course, I firmly refused. They were crying, but they were strangers to me now. I left them there and walked away from the mall, feeling truly liberated from the burden of caring for them. I was free to enjoy my life, being true to myself. That's the promise I made to myself and you. Jeff and his daughter Paige was so terrible to Rita. After taking advantage of Rita and treating her like their servant and saying terrible things about her, seeing Jeff get fat and Paige being thin and unkempt, they got what they deserved. I really hope Rita will enjoy her life of freedom. Thanks for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.